Hey, what's up, y'all? Oh, I just gave my whole damn screen an earthquake. What's up, everybody? It's Jason with Scraps and Taps, and we're back! We're back again for another video. This time on UFC 323 in, I don't even know where it's at. All I know, it's two title fights on the card. We got Merab versus Piotr Jan 2. I think it would be the last pay-per-view of the year, the last pay-per-view before we head into the Paramount era, which is exciting to see what's on the horizon for that. But it would be the last pay-per-view, and I believe we have one more fight night, and then that would close out the year for the UFC. Sorry if I look a little crusty. I probably look a little crusty right now, actually. Yeah, it would be the last card, the last pay-per-view on ESPN. It's in Vegas. So let's take a little dive in there. Let's take a little dive into the card. So in our early prelims, you got Muhammad Naimov versus Myron Santos, Mansour Abdul Malik versus Antonio Trocoli. Okay. 14-3 Ibo Islam versus 6-0 Ivo Baranowski. Excuse me. Then we got some action in the 155 lightweight division. We have Edson Barbosa versus Jalen Turner. So obviously Jalen Turner is a very long guy who's making a comeback, supposedly retiring earlier this last year, I believe. But in MMA, we all know that it's almost impossible for a fighter to retire. It's almost like try to stay retired game. Who's the longest who could stay retired? And at this point, I swear to God, the only person who's I feel like has stayed retired is somebody like Dominic Cruz. Like he stayed retired. I don't think he's ever said he's wanted to retire or anything like that. But I guess who wants to retire? I guess. And we still have a semi-active Barboza, who is just a great striker, who has one of the sickest, absolutely devastating spinning knockouts of Terry Edom back in the day. I mean, it left him frozen like Elsa. I don't even know how to explain it. I'll probably put a clip in here because it was nasty.
Bristol bully, slide with a body, man hold two from the woody. Shiru gangster, niggas know me, man leave two in your hoodie.
I'll never forget that spinning kick. So it's going to be a good fight. Range. This is just a range finder's fight right here. Then we are going up Vittori versus Pereira. We got Marvin Vittori versus Bruno Ferreira, not Pereira. And that's all me. Vittori, come on now. Vittori, he's a guy who likes to put you up against the fence. He's going to look to wrestle, and Ferreira is looking to decapitate Marvin. They're both about the same age right now, I think in like their mid-30s. But I have a feeling Ferreira will always try and take a risk and try to bring the fight to Vittori rather than let the fight come to him. So I would feel like it would put position for Ferreira to get a win. Then up next after that, we have Faraz Ziam versus Nazim Sadikov. Now, Faraz Ziam, his name is the Smile Killer. And we have the Black Wolf in Nazim Sadikov. And I know these guys are like, these names, man, right? They sound pretty cringe, but they probably sound so sick in their native languages of French and Azerbaijan, however, whatever language they speak over there. Armenian, probably, I think, if I'm not mistaken. Somebody correct me in the comments, please. But Nazim has an 8 KO / TKO streak, and Ziem has a tougher resume, in my opinion. So I'm looking for a lot of durability from Ziem, which I can see in his fights that a lot of it goes to decision, but his resume is a lot of good fighters. And Ziem needs to stay away from the ground. Black Wolf has also has a lot of good ground game from what I was seeing. You have Macy Barber versus Karin Silva. Silva coming off a unanimous decision win against Dion Barboza on the Chimaev versus DDP card. So good to see her back in the I mean, it's almost been a year. I think I seen her fight recently too. I don't know. I'm not sure. Macy Barber is on a nice 5-fight win streak, but had an unfortunate weight miss, which is MMA bad karma, and which is tough. You know, I understand that diet. Oh my goodness, diet is the hardest thing. If you've ever been stuck to diet, if you've ever been a big guy before like me, I've been way bigger than this before. Sticking to a diet, it has to be the worst shit ever. But you understand when you start working out and you start like just trying to get a different lifestyle, that diet is like the main thing, especially for like a bigger person. Diet is like the number one thing when it comes to working out. If you're not having a good diet, it's definitely going to show. It's like you're doing nothing at the gym pretty much if you have a shitty diet. So sometimes you got to be mindful. I know it's hard, especially, but when you're doing it for a sport, a professional sport where you're getting weighed in, and I feel like I've talked about this before, it's just part of the job. You show up, you make weight. But when you're out in normal life, fuck a diet sometimes. You know, sometimes you just need a, I don't even know what for me it would be like a Wingstop 10-piece bone in, guys. Come on now, let's not be children here. Extra seasoning on the fries, yes. Ranch on the side. I go blue cheese. Don't get me wrong, I go blue cheese, but I'm going ranch for sure. It's my preference. It's my preference. You guys drop down the Wingstop orders. Come on, drop down your favorite food to eat when you're about to break a diet on a cheat day. I want to know what some of your guys' cheat meals are. It sounds pretty delicious right now. I can always talk about food. I could probably start a food podcast if I wanted to. I love food so much. And that's why I was a big boy. And I fluctuate down to a skinny guy. And then I fluctuate down to a skinny fat guy. Then I'm up here at big guy again. So I get it, Macy. You know, one too many Terry Blacks, one too many buffets at Caesar's Palace, you know, will get you that way. But, you know, and you know too, when the snack is calling you in a cupboard and you just want to eat it, you know it's so wrong. It's so bad for you. But you know, once you eat one, it's over for you. It's over for you, son. You eat one, it's over for you, son. But you know who it is who I'm talking to. I'm talking to myself too. Then we have Terrence McKinney versus Chris Duncan. Duncan coming off a war with Mateusz Rebecki, and McKinney coming off a win over Slava Claus. You know, Terrence is so slick with his ground game. I mean, if he was playing it safe, he'd obviously try to stick to the ground game and try to sub Chris, but Duncan could use his long range to pick him apart. You know, maybe I'm looking at some more Michael Morales, but I know Terrence McKinney also likes to chop it up, likes to vary the strikes. So it could go either way, but I think Terrence McKinney has the tools to win. Then we have Grant Dawson versus Manuel Torres. Dawson with 13 submissions, dangerous on the ground. Definitely a striker versus a submission artist. Manuel Torres looking for a chance to knock anyone's jaw off. Half of his wins coming from a KO/TKO and a win off of Drew Dober. So Drew is obviously a long stay name in the UFC. Very tough guy, very, very tough guy. So we're probably looking at a war here if it doesn't go to the ground. And then we get our main card, guys. Our main card. We have Jan Blachowicz versus Bogdan Buskov. Jan, the former champion, trying to get a win for his Polish people. You know, the land of Poland needs a win right now. Desperately. You know, trying to come back from his loss off to Carlos Olberg. Jan is just a good guy of the UFC. I would love to see him get a win, but Bogdan Buskov, man, he's the future right now. I think his record is, if I'm not mistaken, he's 4-1 in the UFC. He's a number 12 ranked heavyweight. Oh no, I'm sorry, not heavyweight. Light heavyweight in the UFC, with 15 of his wins coming in from a KO or a TKO. So if I'm being very honest, very brutally honest, Jan is going to have a tough night in the office. He not only with his KO TKO, but he also has a variety of finishes. He's had 3 wins from submission. So this guy is Bogdan is a finisher. But Jan. Jan needs to bring out his legendary Polish power here. He needs to channel his Joanna Jędrzejczyk.
Boogie Woman is coming for
He
you!
needs to channel his Polish ancestors in this fight, because this feels like a very backs against the wall type fight. This might push Jan out of the division. Well, out of the top 15, I would assume. Yeah, because Jan is still ranked number 6, so maybe it won't push him out, but it would definitely. That's 6. He's fighting 6 ranks down. So I would assume that the a loss would definitely mess with his rank. So I don't know. Jan is one of those guys I feel like will be a mainstay in the division for a long time, and I think maybe at this point he might want to look at moving up. Ooh, I mean Jan is 42 years old, and Bogdan is 33 years old. So they are almost 10 years apart, which is pretty crazy. Jan has been in the division for a long time. You know, also one guy that has never really moved up or down the division. So he's definitely a legacy fighter on the light heavyweight division. Then we're going up to Henry Cejudo versus Peyton Talbot. We all know Henry Cejudo, 2-time Olympian. And Peyton Talbot, just a prospect coming up. I think he lost his last fight. But I do remember when they announced this fight, and it was just a very interesting matchup, not one that seems to favor Cejudo at all. The only way that you can say that it favors Cejudo is that Cejudo has the experience at the highest of levels in the UFC. And I feel like Talbot is just going to summon a demon that would just come through the black hole in his chest and eat Cejudo in one bite. You know, I'm just not sure where this fight was going to go. It really just feels like a silly, fun fight, you know? Doesn't feel like there's a crazy amount of stakes attached to this. I think from what I've been hearing, at least, I think the first embedded had dropped very recently, like yesterday or something. And his coach was talking about how it's going to be his last run and as well as Henry's last run. So obviously from what I'm gathering from this is that this is his retirement fight pretty much. Maybe he hasn't told the UFC yet, but that's what it's more leaning towards, that this will be Henry Cejudo's last fight in the UFC. And to get out and try to fight Peyton Talbot, you know, that is, I mean, this is a prospect. So this is a guy coming up, and with the win over Cejudo on paper, that looks great. You know, Henry's on his way out. Cejudo's on his way out. He's no longer the double champ we used to know him as. He's not the 2-time Olympian. He's gave his life to combat sports and fighting and wrestling and all this. And for him to still try to go out on top and fight an up-and-comer like Peyton Talbot, for Talbot, I feel like this is a good win on paper. For people who have been watching Cejudo for a while now, know that he's obviously not the fighter he once was. Father Time is catching up with him. So on paper, this looks good. 2-time Olympian, former double champ. But I mean, Talbot is just a dude he's on when he's very crafty. He's very wild. So, and Cejudo's just very, very regimented, you know, like he doesn't really stay away from his game plan, which is mainly wrestling. He has this very long karate stance, which I feel like for Talbot is just leg bait. You know, he's going to kick the shit out of his leg and that's it. We've seen so many times where these fighters have come out with this wide stance and they just don't know how to really use it to go in and out, in and out. So they end up getting their fucking legs chopped off and then they can't fight because they can't even stand up. So, you know, right now, yeah, I mean, I hope, you know, you always hope to see the legends go out on top. So we'll see what happens on this. And, you know, Henry Cejudo, we were just talking about him earlier. He was one of those guys that retired and said, I'm gonna be retired, comes back. And then it's all, you know, he doesn't kind of know. I mean, if they're saying this is his last, who knows, you know? If his coach is saying this is his last fight, it could be his last fight. It also could not. So it could go either way. I wouldn't also imagine that Cejudo would just quit fighting, you know? He'd probably find a way to be a coach or something. But Yeah, that's it. It's just a silly, fun fight. Henry Cejudo versus Peyton Talbot. Then we go up to former champ Brandon Moreno versus Tatsuro Taira, a 7-1 contender knocking on the doors of a championship fight, maybe with a good win over Moreno. Who knows? Who knows in this new UFC? What the fuck does meritocracy even matter anymore? It doesn't matter what your rank is. It doesn't matter how hard you fought the killers, the resumes in your division. It doesn't fucking matter anymore. It's making me upset every time I talk about it because it's just like, whatever. I feel like both are evenly matched in this fight on the ground. And on striking, Tyra carries some heavy power. And Moreno, he's just so versatile, but he's definitely a volume puncher. Can get his head off the center line. Moreno has just this good head movement, wacky style where it's like a Dominic Cruz-esque, fighting style. He's very, very bouncy on the top. I feel like his feet don't move as much as Dominic's, but he has that top level move, great head movement. I think Moreno has built a Lego Infinity Gauntlet, and he'll go back in time and he'll bring back that old Moreno, and hopefully they'll both give us a bloody fucking war. That's what I want. Moreno has been in some, because he's such a volume puncher, I think the damage accumulates over 5 rounds, or I guess this is going to be 3 rounds. So I don't know. Moreno is a 5-round fighter, and the guy has been to 5 rounds multiple times. Like, his gas tank, no problem. Tatsuro Taira, I haven't seen too much of his fighting to see if he's gone most of the rounds, but from what I've seen from just highlights here and there, this guy's he's a go getter. So Tyra's pressure could be too much for Moreno, but I know Moreno, he's good at getting away from the cage being cut off. So yeah, take a shot every time I say so, guys. For reals. Jesus. Then we got our co-main event. We got Joshua Van versus Alexandre Pantoja for the flyweight championship of the world. Pantoja, I mean, come on, guys. How can you not love the guy? He is the zombie of the whole UFC championship roster. I mean, he kind of reminds me of like a Chris Lieben a little bit. He's just a zombie whose chin is just made of steel. He walks his opponents down like a zombie. Not like any zombie. I'm talking like maybe like a hunter. Like in Left 4 Dead. Have you guys ever played Left 4 Dead? One of the greatest games, co-op games in the history of video games. I mean, the memes that have come out of that game, the lore that's come out of that game. Come on, Valve. Get it together. Remaster it. Make a Left 4 Dead 3. Do something. I missed that game. But anyways, he's like a hunter in Left 4 Dead. If you've ever played Left 4 Dead, you know the hunter is the scariest of them all. This guy fucking he goes from Timbuktu to wherever you at. He goes fucking jumps on you and pounces on you, and nobody can get him off unless you punch him off, I think. Yeah. So he's just stalking his prey, man. He's crawling in the corners. He's ready, dude. He's going for the sub. He's going for the KO. He's going to any way to decimate and make your life a living hell. He's going to try and do. And Van, he's just a guy who's come up the division quickly, super quick. I mean, he's getting the mega push, and he's doing everything right. He's not saying no to any opportunity. He's taken every opportunity and said yes. And look at where that's landed him. Fucking last year, I think, fighting for the number 1 contender, Brandon Royval, and beating him in a decision. I mean, put him on the map, and then going into the cage to that same night to face off against Pantoja and pretty much staking his claim as the number 1 contender. I mean, he played it right. No disrespect, no fucking thing for the show. He just said yes, and even hearing it in his voice, it's crazy because Van, right now he's putting his whole land of Myanmar on his back, and if you've seen some of his, I guess, like his interviews outside of the UFC, you know, he sounds, and if you've never been in that position, like you don't know when you talk about like your past, like that the thing in his voice, like his just how he projects his voice when he talks about the past. I mean, he seems like he's like lived through a lot, you know, maybe struggling. Like I've heard he's been bullied from other people, but probably coming from migrating from your land to America is not easy. So I feel like when he talks about the past, he really looks at it like, man, that shaped me and my future and who I am now. And for people like his family, you know, who's got him to this point, supporting him and doing that, all he wants to do is give back. And, you know, right now also Myanmar is in this, I think it's like this rebellion, the civil war between the police force and the rebel group. So right now there's a lot of chaos going on in Myanmar, and they've been fighting, I think, for probably like almost 8-9 months now of just pure fighting back and forth. And so if you guys don't know what's going on in Myanmar, you guys should check it out. You know, it's a pretty crazy thing. So I can only imagine if Joshua Van has family out there, how much he thinks about them, and all that. But back to the fight, you know, Van is just not afraid of a firefight, has crisp counter punching. I expect a lot of firefights in this fight. I expect both these guys to just stand in front of each other and just fucking sling some fucking leather. I also expect a lot of scrambles if it goes to the ground. I mean, Joshua Van has said that his one thing he's not been able to show a lot is his ground game. But that always scares me because a lot of people say that. And then when they get to the fight, they get on the ground. They don't know what the fuck to do. And it seems like they're just lost. So let's hope it's not the same way. Let's hope it's not the same way that everybody says I got good ground game and they end up getting fucking submitted. So besides the scrambles, you know, I expect a lot of on the breaks, a lot of the damage to be done on the counter punching coming from Van. So a lot of scrambles to break to getting his power shots off on the counters. But, you know, this is one of the fights, like I said, they can stand right in front of each other. I feel like they can also be very technical, but I am very excited for this one, you know, and these guys are just two of the good guys of the division. One getting his chance within like the span of a couple years in the UFC, getting his title shot, being able to change his family's life. Like I said, was an opportunist, said yes to everything and got his chance to fight for the title in fucking 4 days. So, you know, it's very this one fight. I mean, it's gonna be two good guys. You know, Pantoja. We know his speech of his dad. If he's proud of him, we all know that. We all know that every single time Pantoja wins, he brings like his whole family in the cage. So it's just, I mean, it's gonna suck for whoever loses. But I feel like if it goes both ways, we're both gonna get from both of the fighters, we would get a very beautiful, maybe moving speech at the end of it, you know. And then we have our main event, Merab the Machine versus Petr Yan 2. Guys, we doubt Merab the Machine. I mean, could we see another massacre from the human gas tank we know as Merab, the freaking freight train that is Merab, the goddamn bullet train that is Merab? Anything that has to do with speed and a gas tank is Merab. Like, do you guys remember when he just... I've been talking a lot about Henry Cejudo lately, especially because he's on the card, retirement, whatever. But do you remember when he just absolutely sunned Henry Cejudo, put that boy on his shoulder like he was like it was like those homeless guys who have their stick and fucking bandana at the end of it, and that's all their belongings. He just threw him on the side, ran Henry Cejudo, a golden medal wrestler, across the cage and just plopped him down right in front of Zuckerberg. Right in front of Mark Zuckerberg. Can you believe that? I'm surprised they didn't make that into an NFT. I'm surprised Mark didn't sink his teeth into that and just been like, wow, I'm going to frame this in my house on my 77-inch photo frame with holographic technology, and it's just Henry Cejudo being slammed on his back, and then Mark Zuckerberg's face going at the end of it. But absolutely took Henry Cejudo, put him over his shoulder like a duffel bag. And that wasn't even the last time that Merab did that. Merab did that to fucking Sean O'Malley as well. So, I mean, we should be calling him Merab the Menace. I mean, he does what the second he holds his hands and clasps his hands around you, it's over. Merab the Menace. He's a menace. He's going to embarrass you. And Merab is also going for his 4th title defense in 1 calendar year. 4 times this guy has absolutely decimated his opponents with little to no damage, where he's able to fight 4 times in 1 year. This guy is getting the fucking bag. This guy is making the fucking moolah. Absolutely up the ass. Making so much money, probably 4 times in 1 year. 4 championship fights in 1 year. Crazy. And it's crazy, but I feel like if he does that, I mean, we call him Merab the Miracle. Miracle Merab. That's what we're going to call him. But we have to look at his opposition. They've obviously fought once, so Jan has some downloaded information on Merab. And obviously he's probably been watching him fight this whole year, I mean, it's now a lot more Merab study, but nobody has shown any sign of like getting to Merab, really piecing up or finding the blueprint to beat him. Merab is he just imposes his will on you, and that's how it shall be. So let's hope that Jan can weather the storm. I mean, he is one tough son of a bee. Obviously we remember his knee. That was so long ago at this point. I mean, I think people have to forget about that, but I mean, it's tough. You've been in the UFC for a long time. You know the rules, blah, blah, blah. Okay, whatever. But Jan has excellent striking. He is a hard hitter, has some of the crispest boxing. He's probably one of the best boxers in the UFC. Dude, also his judo throws. His judo throws are insane. He's got some great judo. He has some very good spatial awareness as well, because he knows when you're in his clinch, when you're in his zone, he's still dangerous. He's still dangerous even if you're working with your hands. He's looking for another angle, which brings me to his trips. His tripping mechanics are beautiful. He has some of the best trips in the game. And I mean, they're sneaky ones. They're ones where you're punching and you take a step forward and he's already has his leg behind you and he's just pushes you forward and you just fall. Like some of the cleanest trip. Every time he does it, I'm like, wow, that's like some beautiful stuff.
So to speak. Oh, I love that.
I'm ready, go with
The lad,
you.
look at this.
And Jan is dangerous anywhere the fight goes. He's good on the ground. Jan can create some scrambles as well, but I feel like Merab is just too strong. I feel like if anything, this camp, I hope Jan focus a little bit more on strength training and obviously the gas tank, but it's going to be hard for anybody to impose their will on Merab when Merab is the one who usually pushes the pace of the fights. Merab has the tools to beat Jan, but can Jan show that since his last fight with Merab that he's improved all around, right, to beat the champ? Which I can't imagine. Yeah. Who knows? Maybe Jan can push Merab to his limit this fight. Maybe it's a lot more having to assert your dominance first and then later. I mean, I don't know, because Merab, he lights up at the end of the fights, That's where his cardio kicks in. So I don't know, guys, but we have a beautiful UFC 323 main event going down in Las Vegas, Nevada. We have Dvalishvili versus Jan 2, Pantoja versus Van for the flyweight. No, yes, for the flyweight championship of the world. We have a stacked card for the last UFC pay-per-view of the ESPN era and the last UFC pay-per-view of the year. So it's going to be a good one. Championship doubleheader. See you guys hopefully after that's done. So Dana in his most blandest way, guys, what we know now is just obviously the normal way to promote a fight. Broke the news during the Cowboys Chiefs game recently with this shiny big cue ball head, obviously in the middle of your screen, gave us the remaining fights that will usher in the new era for UFC 324, the Paramount era, with a fan favorite main event, Justin Gaethje versus Paddy Pimblett, for the vacant interim. It's not vacant, I guess. I guess it's the interim lightweight title. And these two have just been circling each other, right, for a while now. So here's Justin's chance to have one. I mean, it would be his second time fighting for an interim belt. No, I'm lying. Because he fought Khabib for the title. He'd be fighting for another title, one interim title. But it would be our chance for America to have one champion, even if it's interim in the current roster. Or will we have a Scouser champion on the blonde-headed badass, Paddy Pimblett? You know, the only person in the lightweight division that matters, though, right now is Armin. Armin beat Hooker recently, and Armin has had the number one contender spot, but obviously he's been on punishment from the UFC for a minute now, and it doesn't seem to be like it's getting any better. You know, skipping deserving contenders. Right now, the matchmaking just is a mess, especially in lightweight, featherweight. Right now, those two divisions are just, they're a mess. They're a mess with just the movement of champions and how things have been going down. So, you know, we'll talk a little bit more about that. But other than that, we have the return of the GOAT Amanda Nunes versus Kayla Harrison. I feel like this should be a lot bigger news, but I feel like Amanda hasn't drummed up much talk since she's been announced as she's coming back, and Kayla doesn't really talk smack, so I feel like all this is going under the radar. But Amanda, if you don't know, was the double champ. I think is the only women's double champ besides Valentina. Multiple time. I mean, she knocked the fuck out of Cyborg. And if you got casuals don't know who Chris Cyborg Justino is, go look up Cyborg. She is a pioneer in the women's division. So I remember when Amanda knocked her out, and it was just like, I cannot believe she knocked out one of the greatest women's fighters of all time. I mean, she was a scary, scary woman, that Chris Cyborg. So there's a lot of respect on Amanda's name, you know, fought some of the best, went up and down divisions, wasn't afraid of anybody. But she has been out for a long time. I mean, we're talking maybe now 2 years, probably at this point, 2+ if I'm not mistaken. And Kayla is a multiple-time judoka Olympian gold medalist, twice. And she is the champ. She is the champ right now. So not only that, so Kayla's got a lot going good for her right now. Amanda's been gone, but the women's division doesn't have the opposition as the rest of, I guess, the whole UFC roster. So this is like the biggest fight that you can make right now besides a movement up from champions, you know? So for sure this fight is just legacy. And this is what this says to me right now. And if Kayla wins, it cements herself as the undisputed champ and feels like nobody will be able to touch Kayla if she wins. We got Sean O'Malley versus Song Yadong. You mean absolute striker's delight. I don't imagine much takedowns going on in this fight. I imagine Song will pressure O'Malley till he breaks. We got another news. Alexa Grasso back in the octagon taking on Rose Namajunas. We got Arnold Allen versus Jean Silva, which is a great movement fight in the flyweight division, which I said was a mess right now. So we'll see how it plays out after UFC 325. Wait. No, not lying. Not a mess right now. And then we got a heavyweight fight Mr. Waldo Cortez Acosta, Salsa Boy, versus Derek the Black Beast Lewis. Acosta is absolutely staying active in the beginning of next year. I think he would go like 2 back-to-back fights, 3 back-to-back fights, fight cards. So coming off a nice 2025 and running into the Popeyes Punisher Derek Lewis, who will knock your head off and emote on you as you lay wondering where your soul was blasted off to. You know, and that was the announcement that Dana's big old cue ball head said. But it makes me miss the way the UFC used to market fights and make all these promos, like putting their media department to absolute work. And it sucks that this multi-billion-dollar company can't even just tease us, can't even give us a little bit of the gabagoo, you know, and do some fucking marketing, do some fucking new posters, do some fucking announcement for a big fight. Like even when Brock Lesnar was coming back, they already had a package for him saying that he was coming back, right? So why can't they do that now? I mean, the fights are bigger than ever, and as a longtime fan, I am just. It's not even the fights are getting bigger than ever. I feel like it's more just we're just fed this slop, like we're like mindless lamb being fed to this media slaughter, which is just the most blandest way that you can promote fights or give your fans something back so that they can show their friends about, dude, you see this fight, you see coming Conor McGregor versus Jose, you see this promo, this shit's crazy. All right, dude. And that's the one that stands like out of the most of them. Obviously is the biggest fight, but it's just there's nothing to like sink your teeth into and be like, oh my god, I cannot wait for this fight. You just have names, and at some point you have such a big roster. You say Dana said he has a roster of over 500 fighters. How do you manage to market these fights by just saying the name and be, oh my god, everybody only matters when they hit the top 10, right? And then even then, what about their story? What about this? What about that? You only get some flavor in the fucking cold opens or some shit like that. No, give us some cinema. Give us what a multi-million-dollar company should be giving us, which is some good fucking content, not some slop that you're feeding us on fucking Instagram Live and some fucking slop that you're feeding us on fucking halftime television, where that should be the one where you fucking, we have this package here, right? But we're getting just this polished turd nugget, and we continue to say thank you, thank you, thank you. So it's just so fucking annoying. Other than that little side piece right there, we got also news of UFC 325. So the second main event, I guess, second numbered event of the Paramount era is Volkanovski versus Lopez 2. Awesome fight. It's just the second version of the other fight. But again, my gripe is with just how much of a mess featherweight is at. I mean, you have two deserving contenders in the smothering wrestling of Mosar and the elite striking of and heart. I mean, absolute heart of Lerone, and his story of Lerone Murphy is one that I think should be on everybody should hear his story. It's a crazy story. I mean, the division right now is just a train wreck. It just has me really scratching my noggin at how misaligned the featherweight division is, as well as the lightweight division. And I can only imagine that division will move along after this. But Movsar hasn't fought for a year. And Lerone fought on the DDB card, which is a little bit more than a year at this point. And in the UFC, I feel like showing up means a lot when the division is jammed up. You know, they're going to go to an exciting fighter, somebody who's trying to cause a stir, trying to cause some issues, not only inside the octagon, but outside the octagon, right? Somebody who's deserving. And so I feel very bad for people like Lerone, people like Movsar, who in this day and age now, it's not about your ranking, which obviously people are saying, oh, the rankings don't matter, blah, blah, blah. But if we're not going to fuck with the rankings, then why do we even have the rankings? You know? It just doesn't make sense to me. And and what I imagine happening is that there's going to be like a number one contender fight between Mozart and Lerone. But that kind of sucks because Lerone is coming off a beautiful knockout of Aaron Pico. Mozart just smothered Aljamain Sterling, former champ. That's what all signs seem to be pointing towards, unless they just kind of build up the queue. But it's just jammed up. It's just a jammed up division at this point. So I don't know. There's going to be a lot of probably weird matchmaking coming after this for the little guys. But I hope everybody has some happy holidays. You know, if you guys have some friends, go reach out to your friends. Go hang out. Go enjoy these lovely holidays. It's all about love, spreading joy. I hope everybody has just a lovely holiday season. You know, I guess it's starting to be December. It's the first week of December. Yeah. You know, let me know how your Thanksgiving was. How did you spend it with family? Did you spend it with friends? Did you spend it alone? What was your star of the show on the plate? You have any good memories? Anybody have any good Thanksgiving memories? Man, I grew up in a Salvadoran household. A lot of my extended family is also Salvadoran. So, I mean, we got a lot of pavo con pollo. What was it? Pavo in the... Oh, see, I'm fucking it all up. It's been so long since I've been pretty much home for Thanksgiving or anything, so I forget it. But it's like, was it pavo con pan or something like that? And you put the turkey in the Salvadorian. At least the people we went to with, we put turkey in a Salvadorian like marinade, which she opened up the styrofoam or the fucking thing. The aluminum foil, and it just smelled like my childhood. It smelled so good. So that was nice to. It brought back a lot of memories. So a lot of good memories. So that, and somebody made garlic mashed potatoes. You gotta tell me twice when there's mashed potatoes. I'm always down about my mashed potatoes. Okay. You're talking to a former bigger guy. So your boy can eat. Yeah, but never heard of this game called Right Left Center. Played it for the first time. Fun as hell. Would love to play it again. But yeah, y'all, you know, if you guys have lonely Thanksgiving, lonely holidays, reach out to your friends. Go talk to them. Say what's up. You know, what you doing for the holidays. You know, go catch up with your friends. Go do things that make you enjoy life and is going to make you be happy to be alive in the next year and to experience things in 2026. All right. You guys enjoy your rest of your week. Enjoy the fights this weekend. It's going to be a fucking banger of a fight. Last pay-per-view of the year. Last pay-per-view of the UFC era. And then after this, we get into Paramount. Let's see how much the price hike is. And then that'll show us if we need to stop streaming, y'all. Okay, everybody. Have a good one. This is Jason with Scraps and Taps. You guys have a nice rest of your week.